Welcome to the Lead at Work podcast, where every episode is about learning how to develop our skills as leaders in our workplace and keep a healthy work-life balance. Here are your hosts, Shawn Franco and Tim Joyce.
Hello, everybody. We are so excited that you have chosen to spend some time with us talking about leading at work. My name is Shawn Franco. This is TJ Joyce. TJ, thanks for doing this with me. TJ is one of the best leaders I know, and it's going to be exciting to get into a vision about how to lead at work and why you want to. So, TJ, first of all, thanks for being part of it.
Well, I'm honored to be here. I'm not sure if I'm one of the best leaders. I appreciate that, but I wouldn't put myself in that category. But it's an honor to be here and talk about something that's very personal that I think is very intuitive to all of us, whether we realize it or not.
Yeah. So we're just going to start off right off the bat. We're going to introduce ourselves through the first thing we want to talk about, and it's this. Why in the world would you want to lead at work? And I'm going to flip it around. Why is that the only way you want to be at work? And so really the whole idea of this whole podcast is you want to be a leader at work. But we're going to be quick to tell you that we're not talking about a title. We're not talking about an org chart. We're talking about something very different. And we want to propose to you that leading at work is the only way you want to go to work.
Very much so. So it's, I'm not sure if we need to give any background.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I've been blessed to give my career life to the YMCA coming out of North Carolina. I started a long time ago. First paycheck was as a part-time lifeguard.
Nice.
In my life. And then I just kind of stayed with it, came through camps, came through the Y. And about 10 years ago, I was called by the Lord, Diane and I, my wife, to come to Richmond to serve here with an amazing team. Mm-hmm. So I've done a few other things back in my 20s, but most of my career life has been working in what I consider a mission and ministry field of the YMCA.
Yeah, and I think the thing TJ's not telling you is leadership has turned into high-level leadership of a big organization. But one of the things why I think it's so important that you are with me on this topic is whatever your title was, whatever your position was, you were always leading.
Oh, yeah.
I know that about you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's we used to always say leadership is not about the initials after your name. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people that have initials after their names. Leadership is something that comes from within. And you kind of know it. You can be standing and doing anything, and when you start seeing something, say, I wonder, could this be better? Yeah. Well, in a way, that's now leadership, because you're trying to improve something that you see, whatever it is, and something that benefits somebody else.
Yeah. On our second podcast, we're going to get a little deeper into the issue of what a leader is and this issue of influence, this issue of vision. I've got a vision that it could be something better than it is. And so we're going to be talking about that. My particular background is I got my undergrad in marketing and spent about 5 years in 2 Fortune 500 companies in the marketing department writing, enjoying all that. And then I started getting the call to help people know Jesus. And so I kind of switched what I was marketing, and I've been pastoring for over 25 years. And in that time, I've been part of I was the chairman of the Board of Social Services for Chesterfield Colonial Heights for 3. I was a board member there for 10. And I've spent a good amount of time with some leaders. And I'll tell you what, especially given the opportunity to mentor and coach high-level leaders, titles may change and the breadth of responsibility may change, but every day we've got to choose if we're going to lead at work, if just who we are as a person is someone who believes in what they're doing and believes they can make it better.
You know, what's interesting, just listening to you gave several different venues, methods, pipelines that you led in each one. Corporate companies, pastorship, working with government agencies in terms of mentoring, the work you do at local high school. Yeah. Every one of those are different venues, but leadership of trying to serve and help others to someplace they want to get to or someplace they can't see in themselves is something innate and is in many ways is a gift. It can begin as a gift, but then it's also honed in and perfected with skill and discipline.
Right.
So
That's right.
A lot of times people say, oh, leaders are born. They're not made. That's a huge debate of which way it comes. I believe it's both. I believe there are some God-given abilities in there. Maybe that's where we'll unpack it more about, well, what is leadership, being influenced, things like that. But there's also that discipline that's in it. But one of the core things to me is there a love of mankind?
Yeah.
Is there something there that you see that you want to make better to serve somebody else? Some people's service is like, I want to serve myself. I want to make more money. Nothing's wrong with that. Now it takes, well, what are you going to do with that money? But usually it's like, how do we make a process better? How do we do something better? How do we walk with somebody, serve somebody better? Why? To lift them up, to lift up the organization, the ministry of where you're going.
Yeah.
The conduits change, but the core of leadership, in my opinion, does not.
Yeah. Yeah, well said. So I'm gonna make you a money back guarantee right off the bat. Everybody who's watching, I guarantee that if you choose to be a leader at work, that you are going to love your work so much more than you ever had. And if that turns out not to be true, you can get your money back.
Yeah. From this podcast.
Yeah,
Yes.
from the podcast, from TJ, right? TJ will be giving his contact information
That's right.
at the end.
Send me a receipt.
So here, we're going to wrap up this first podcast, again, with this big thought. Why would you want to lead at work? Why is that the best way to be at work? And TJ, you want to finish up with a few thoughts on that? Why is that the way you want to go to work?
So the question that would come to me is, so what's the alternative?
Exactly.
Right. So if you're not leading at work, then what's going to be that alternative? And the first thing a lot of people might do is go, well, wait a minute, I'm not in charge. I have found in my life and career that most leadership happens from within the green. I had a friend of mine that was in the military, and there used to be a statement of just stay within the green, within the mass. Right? Don't get on the edges. You know, that's where you get picked off too much. But the point being is leadership from within the masses by those that are around you is just the way to move things forward. That why it's in it, we all have different motivations from it. For me, mine is I try, don't always succeed, but my try is like, okay, and my prayer coming over is, Lord, how do I glorify you today? And doing this podcast, what's going to happen that I can glorify? That tries to be my motive from wherever I am in the green by those that are around me. I think Maxwell, who was a great teacher of leadership many, many years ago and still today, he made the statement of leadership is like the flu. The closer you get to somebody, it just rubs off. It's contagious. And so we have a way to build a contagion of attitude, of motivation, of spirit, of what's happening in us, whatever that median might be, corporate America, ministry, nonprofit, school, government, church. It's that contagion of influence.
Yeah. And we're not going to run too heavily on the idea of a contagion of influence in this post-COVID environment, but we appreciate the thought. And I think, TJ, we understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, this is probably my last podcast, but it's been great being with you.
And you know, to your point, to think that the only reason I'm a leader is if I have a certain authority for a professional task is totally missing the sphere of leadership that you can be in. To come into work, and here's what I'm going to offer. I think you can make your work go from 2-dimensional to 3-dimensional if you'll accept the call that wherever you go, you're a leader there. And I think life is just got less depth, less texture, less energy to it when you only see leadership in the responsibilities of the task and the assignments. There is a whole nother sphere of influence that you can be a part of, and that doesn't keep away the issue of the tasks and the assignments. But there's a whole nother way that you can be a leader and improve your experience to such a way that you go from a 2-dimensional experience that you are not even interested in getting up and going to a 3-dimensional experience that creates a lot more life and anticipation. And maybe in our next podcast, we'll break that down a little bit more. Any closing thoughts on this first one, TJ?
Some of your last comments, you have teed up probably 6 or 7 podcasts, which might be exciting if they choose to come back. Money back guarantee. Remember, we've given them that.
And we promise no more contagion references
that's right. We'll
in the next
talk
podcast.
About influence, and things like that. So I look forward to where we go in the future on this.
Yeah. So let's just finish up with this. Let's just finish up with that big thought. Leading at work is the only way you want to do it. And if you've never thought like that, and if this is a brand new thought to you, then one, obviously join us again, but two, maybe you need to take a fresh look at why you are where you are. And we want to encourage you to be part of that. You can get this podcast where we talk about Spotify, YouTube, Apple, and we encourage you to sign up for Lead at Work, subscribe with us. We're going to go on a journey that's going to make work such a more fulfilling place.
Sounds good.